Thank you for joining today's session from Hype to Harmony, Navigating AI's Real Potential. Please welcome our amazing speaker, Laisha Wadhwa. Laisha is the Head of Developer Relations at Pesto Tech and an avid tech enthusiast on a mission to empower developers and unearth their potential. With a seasoned background from Goldman Sachs and Jio, Laisha's passion lies in machine learning. Beyond her professional journey, Laisha is committed to creating AI and machine learning solutions for social good and is a seasoned hackathon winner. She wears many hats as a tech speaker, blogger, podcast host, mentor, and technical writer. As a global ambassador at Women Tech Makers Google, she champions diversity and inclusion in tech. In her life's journey, Laisha thrives on hacking through challenges one step at a time. Join her in exploring the world of technology, innovation, and endless possibilities.
Thank you so much, Sapphire. That was a lovely intro, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining in for the session today. It's going to be a really interesting session. I hope all of you can you'd be getting a link shortly. So go to that link and probably enter what comes to your mind when you read that question, and we'll shortly come back to the responses and have some interaction as well. So coming up to today's session, right? AI, machine learning, and all of the words surrounding it is, not a new thing for anybody out there. We are actually engulfed in a world where everything from right from our phones, voice assistants inside our pockets, to what advertisement you're going to see next on your Instagram profile, we are surrounded by AI everywhere. But AI is much more behind these buzzwords, and today's session is all about figuring out how you can leverage the AI aspects for your own good, and also look beyond the fluff. I know that there are 100 different companies who have added that AI is backing them up just for the adoption aspect of it, but there are actually a lot of things that you don't even know that AI can do. And I think now is the time. It's easier than ever to even get started if you really want to build something, or you just want to save some time on mundane things in life. So I'll skip my intro, but just a bit of a thing that I love to build things, and I've been into this ML space for some time, and I've seen it transition, and it's something that has created a lot of questions in my mind, and today I'll try to answer some of those for you. So from a time when I've seen, we've gone from a world where we were mere interactors with AI to a point where we are the ones who are, you know, kind of overpowered by AI, because AI is all around us. Um, from a simple, I think in India, if I talk about, even at the airports, you have systems where you can enter the airport through AI. um, Everywhere, every social media platform that you're going to use, you will see some form of AI being used there. And at times, it's difficult to understand, whether this is AI, this is tech, whether I want this AI to be, or whether I even want to interact with this kind of AI. So there are a lot of questions, and sometimes it's a little overpowering to also, sorry, it's a little overwhelming for us to understand as individuals that, is AI going to take our jobs? Is there going to be a world where there are going to be robots and humans are eventually going to end? I mean, we've all seen those kind of movies where it's the age of robots. But we are far from there, but we are in a world of transition. And let's understand, what and how we can get to a place where we can make the most out of it. So I hope all of you would have seen the URL, and I'm looking at the responses that you've all put in. So you see, I know that sometimes AI can be overwhelming, and that's why there are a lot of tough concepts. See, this is the word I was looking for. It says automation. That is one thing that comes into everybody's mind when you talk about AI, or for that matter, ML. For a lot of people, it's making life easier, and I want you all to use it, and we look at some really cool examples of how you can do it. It's nerve-wracking, I know. It's also exciting, but at the same time, sometimes it's difficult to understand. So let's come out of that bubble today, and try to see how we can, start getting into this whole world of ML, try to understand it one bit at a time and see where we land ourselves at. Got it. Okay, let's move forward. So, what's actually the hype? What's happening around us? So, ever since, generative AI has come up with applications that you and me as end users can use without the hassle of writing code, the hype has, increased 10x. You never know the email that you got from your manager, or the email that you are sending to your manager is written by AI or is written by you. And all of this, like the inclusion of AI everywhere, has led to this hype that AI can do everything. It can be the artist, it can be the next marketer, it can be the next copywriter, it can even write code, it can be the next AI engineer on your team. But the question to ask yourself is it really going to replace us? Or is it a system that we can coexist with and not use it as an adversary, but use it as an assistant, or use it, as your partner? I mean, some of you would be familiar with the concept of pair programming here. So think of it as that you have someone who can guide you into doing things a little bit better, and you do not have to spend so much time on mundane things. So, let's not look at all of the things, which AI has given us in a plate, but let's try to look beyond it, do some analysis on our end. And I know it's overwhelming, so I'll give you some templates of, how to go about it, how do you evaluate when to use it, when to not use AI. Because, you do not need to make AI a product, but you need to use AI to solve problems in your product. And it's exactly the difference that I want you all to understand. So let's look at it. I mean, these are some of the words that come into my mind if I talk about ML. you know uh, there's learning involved, there's a lot of data involved, there's a lot of generation of different things that are involved. But some of these words, wouldn't be making sense to you. So let's understand what is AI and ML, right? And then there are other nuances of it. Could be deep learning, could be reinforcement learning. They're all derived words from the concepts of AI and ML. Now, some of you would be thinking it's a amalgamation of stats, computer science, maths, and just came up with something called machine learning. But no, it's something different. The concept's very simple. What do you mean by artificial intelligence? That's like the umbrella level. Now, anything that can, sense, reason, act, and adapt, it's able to learn. It's a program that can make out things if you've given a particular situation or a particular text, or for that matter anything. Under the AI umbrella we have machine learning. So machine learnings are specific algorithms who can help you you can give it any amount of data, it can go over to that data and keep on improving. As it's exposed to more and more data, it keeps on improving over time. Now, if you want to go further deeper from machine learning, you want to go to deep learning. It's again a subset of machine learning. Now, here, instead of using simple mathematical models, we've gone to another kind of new networks, which are called neural networks. And these are not just single layered, but they are multi layered neural networks. And there are a lot of nuances to it, which I don't want to delve into. But essentially, they are also learning from a vast amount of data. It's just that the way they are learning is different. They are able to learn much more complexer relationships between data because of the way the data is propagated through the network. Now, if you look at it, if I am able to make a machine learn a few things, and I'm able to also control how the machine is learning things, the possibilities are endless. And I think we've all seen the possibilities that AI and ML had. And I believe all of us have experienced at least one of these elements of AI at some point in our life so far. Either we've looked at some voice assistants, it could be Alexa, it could be Google, it could be Siri. Some of us would have also seen these robots or concierge agents on airports and in restaurants. And we've all seen machine learning. We have face recognition in iPhone, we have face recognition in our laptops. All of this encompasses the elements of AI. And I would say these are a very broad spectrum of it. I'm not even delving deep into it. But what I wanted to focus on is the narrow AI versus artificial general intelligence. Now, narrow AI was, what we've been seeing so far, or I would say where we were probably a few months ago. It includes everything, right? It could be your voice assistants, it could be your image based search, voice based search. And if you look at it, the current amount of computing power that is available with us, AI can do one thing incredibly well. Like if you give it a certain task that you want to translate any language to say Spanish or any language to say English, AI can do it incredibly well. But what we have moved on to is an artificial general intelligence. It's a I would say phenomenon that's slowly evolving. Now it's a concept where the AI is capable of collecting, interpreting data on its own, and it will also be able to complete tasks without much oversight from a human operator, right? I mean, I hope most of you have at least heard of ChatGPT, if not used it. And there are also other forms of GPT engines where you can automate tasks. It's called Auto GPT. And we've slowly moved to a place where it's a self learning sort of an AI. And for some of you it might come as a term where you are rather overwhelmed by what its capabilities are and where will it put you, or how is it going to impact your job. So let's not worry about that, but let's come to the whole concept of what's happening with generative AI. And I know that a lot of buzz is going around chat gpt, or for that matter generative or models in general. Now, some might think that ChatGPT can replace everything. No, it cannot. I mean, if it has removed few jobs, it has created 100 different other jobs as well. So it's about the outlook that we have. And this is a very interesting slide that I wanted to show you. Basically, this goes in accordance with what we've been talking so far. Is as the adoption of AI has increased, the number of AI adoption startups have also increased. Now, some of these are primarily hype, probably areas where AI was not even needed, but some of them are doing really good foundation level work that are solving problems that earlier couldn't be solved. A lot of biomedical research, a lot of cancer related research has been made possible because of the amount of computing power that we have today. And while these numbers indicate that there is a hype about AI, these also indicate that there's more adoption of AI in general in the market. So, this is an opportunity for us to understand how we, as individuals or engineers or problem solvers, can look at problem solving in a much different way. Now, this is a very interesting um figure for me. So, generally, the challenge at hand is that marketing folks or companies in general, they'll use AI and ML as marketing buzzwords. So it's difficult for enterprises or people like me to understand what is genuine service. I mean, are they really using AI? Was AI even needed? And sometimes AI and ML is also confused with cloud deployments. I mean, if somebody is just using something like AWS or Google Cloud or Azure, it's typically delivered through those tech because there are resource requirements that you cannot fulfill in an on-prem system. But you may not need them constantly, or you may not even need the AI ML models of that scale. Another challenge that comes along with the adoption of AI and ML model is security. And that's why if you look at a lot of security products, whether it's web related security or it's AI and ML specific security, they are generally a black box. You really don't know what's happening. How did they come up with certain vulnerabilities being identified through their system? It's also difficult for you and me as consumers to understand, are they really utilizing machine learning, or was it even needed? So it's been more of a one side communication of AI being used practically everywhere without us even understanding, do I really need to even use the product which comes with certain specifications? Wasn't the one I using already good enough with whatever capacity of AI it already had? So there's a check that we as individuals need to take, which is marketing versus reality. Now, these descriptions, these jargons, they may blur the distinctions between what AI and ML actually is, and hence it requires a little bit of a critical evaluation of what capabilities the tool might have that you are using. And that's why, it's important to look beyond the hype and not get lost in that fluff and find those real products that you really want to use. And honestly, we've come a long way. We started with doing machine learning. We made some memes around machine learning when it was not so famous technology. Then we started using machine learning to generate more memes, and now we are using machine learning to generate memes about machine learning. So this is a meme that I generated using machine learning. So that's where we are. But where do we go from here? So let's get to business and understand what's next. This is a very interesting, I would say, cartoon which says AI turns the single point into a long email that I pretend that I wrote. And on the other hand, the person who's reading it, AI makes a single bullet point out of this long email I can pretend I read. Now, while this may sound funny, but this is the world where we are, and honestly, it saves us a lot of time if we look at it. I mean, there have been times where you have mundane emails to read, similar kind of setup. You don't want to go through it again and again, but rather have someone paraphrase it for you in a way that's comprehensible. So let's look at a very simple difference between how we used to build AI apps versus how we are building AI apps with more tools available with us. We generally used to spend a lot of time in identifying a problem. That used to be a bigger problem in the world of machine learning. And then once we are sure that this is the problem I want to solve, I will garner my data, prepare it for building a machine learning system. Then comes the job of choosing the right kind of algorithm, whether it's classification, regression. I'll train my algorithms. I'm going to choose the best tech stack that is possible. Then I'm going to use the platform that I want to host on, which deployment engine that I want to go on. And once I've developed and everything works well, I'm going to deploy it and have some monitoring solutions around it. Now, if you look at it, this is a long process, and surely we've tried to solve for some of these things. Like training algorithms today is not that big of a task because of the possibilities of auto ML. But we've also solved for a lot of different things, which is this part. We have come up with more sophisticated approaches of platform selections. We have tools where you can deploy your ML model to 10 different platforms and look at the performance differences without having to actually do that yourself one by one. And then I also want to come to this fact of problem identification. Now, finding problems to solve is difficult, right? So why not, leverage tech the right way? Why not build AI apps with prompts? If you do not have ideas, you're not a developer, but you need to write code. So, I mean, all of you know it, but for those who don't know, what are prompts? Like similar to how you basically you get instructions at work to do certain things, these are also input instructions for AI models like GPT-3 that can generate anything that you tell it to, whether it's text, whether it's image, audio, text to audio. It can do anything. So it's like your personal assistant that's capable of doing anything. And if you are someone who is looking for ideas, or you want to be able to generate new ideas really fast, you can check out prompt base. It's a marketplace where you can buy and sell prompts. There are various different categories in which you can do this. And finding AI apps ideas, even starting to write prompts is difficult. So let's look at a few examples to solve one hard part of building things. So let's say, before that, I'll just give you one simple, I would say, figure which gives you a little bit of an input around what's happening here. Now, let's say I'm someone who wants to, write copies for my website. But say I'm working on a new product which even I don't have much idea about. You can utilize any of these tools to write that. I mean, copy.ai is a great tool. I use that, and the results are great. If you're someone who wants to generate videos without coming in front of the camera, you can check out runway.ml. It's a great tool. And there are 100 different tools for anything and everything that you want to see. So you can also check out this link for a website which gives you a lot of insight into what are the different tools that are available. So you can go, put in the problem statement you're solving, select a few toggles, and you are good to go with the choice of tools that you have at hand. Now, I mentioned, right, if you have knowledge and you have the assistance of AI, it automatically means that you are up for a faster app building process. And I'm saying that you do not need to be a developer today to start building apps. You can do it without having inherent knowledge about tech. What you should be really clear about is what problem you're solving. I always say it's about stitching together the tools to orchestrate workflows properly. And if you can do that, nothing can beat you. And this is a great quote that I read somewhere, is that AI matters. Why? Because one day we will not be able to remember a world where AI and intelligent machines did not exist. I mean, right now, a lot of us are so used to voice assistants that, 20 years down the line, we may not even know a world where voice assistants did not exist, or, dynamic search or dynamic ad recommendations did not exist. And that's exactly why when people ask me that I don't want to use AI, it's a black box, why use an AI software? This question comes in so often when I'm talking to developers. Imagine you're a pilot and you're flying a plane without co-pilot. I know you can do it successfully, but wouldn't it be much easier if you have a co-pilot who is, someone you can trust? Just like a co-pilot will assist you in navigation, AI tools are a great ally when you are building something, when you are doing your regular activities, you are building a product pitch, you are designing PRDs for the next product that you're building. So it covers a lot of different facets. And now, finally coming to ideas. Let's say I'm someone who is working on a sustainability startup and I want to write an ebook. So what I did is I generated a nice prompt. I gave it to ChatGPT and it gave me a complete book. It took me 5 minutes. Now I'm not saying that it can give you the complete book and you can use it as is, but it can give you a starter scratch pad to take things forward. So it resolves the cold start problem that everybody has when they're starting something new. And you can also go and try this, prompt yourself, see how it works out for you. Another example is, let's say, I attend a lot of meetings. Working with a lot of developers, you have to attend a lot of meetings, and sometimes you do miss some and you do not have the time to go through the meeting recording. So one way is, you pull up some APIs, get that speech converted to text, and then give it to ChatGPT to give you minutes of the meeting for the below text in a short, concise, actionable format. Or an easy way would be you could use an AI tool. So this, if you see here, is a screenshot from fireflies.ai. Now what that does is it's basically another, you could say, AI bot that joins your meeting along with all of the others, conceptualizes and records everything that's happening on that meeting, and it gives you all the filters, right? What were the questions asked, what were the tasks, any specific dates that were discussed, and it gives you also a complete transcript of who said what. I mean, what's better than that? So either you can go ahead and do this orchestration yourself, or you could use the tools available out there in the market for you. And this is a very short video that I want you to see, is that if you are developers or you are designers who want to write code or want to turn your designs into actual working products, you should check out blackbox.ai. So just a small 2-minute video for you to see. So what we did here is that we basically gave in a screen that I want to create a Google login on my website, and it gave you the complete HTML and JavaScript code to create an account, validate the inputs, all without even having inherent knowledge about how JavaScript and HTML works. And that's the era we are living. Moving on, let's now look at some really cool examples. So, how about, everybody loves creating reels or at least watching reels. How about you could create viral reels with AI, right? You do not have to go to 10 different softwares, import your images, choose the right track, add subtitles. You can do all of this with AI. So you can use script, get a script and descriptions of images using chat gpt. You can do image generation to segmind. I love segmind, it's a great tool, very easily accessible. Then text to speech, 11 labs is another api that gives you free credits. I'll show you how it works. For speech to text, I mean, once I have converted my video, I also want transcript of subtitles that should be available on the screen, and I also want to overlay those captions and stitch the video together. So I used MoviePy. So let me show it to you in action. So I'm not going to run all of the code in front of you, but just to give you a little bit of an insight into how I did it. So, bunch of important stuff. Have your open API keys set up. So what I want to do is I want to tell ChatGPT, set some context that you're an expert short form video script writer for Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. This is your job. Now let's generate some reels. So one is I've chosen the topic as success and achievement, and I've said that my goal through this reel is to inspire people to overcome challenges, achieve success, and celebrate their victories. You can choose from a bunch of options. You can also build like empowerment reels. And this is where I'm building the prompt. So you need to create a script for whatever the topic I've chosen. And the goal of that particular video is whatever I've specified. So I have given a bunch of instructions that I want to capture the attention of the folks. I want every 5-10 seconds, the scene should change. For each scene card, I want description and a bunch of other things. I mean, you can get creative here. And once I've done this, this is what I've got. So I have got a complete reel idea where I've got a description for an image of what kind of image should be there at each point and what should be the text that I should have overlaid on that particular image. Now I have image description. I can use any software. It could be Mid Journey, it could be Doll-E, it could be Dolly 2. I've used Segmind because it was easier to use with the API. And I'm going to now generate these images for that description using the Segments API. So I'll show you some of those descriptions. So I wanted a cloudy sky with rays of sunlight breaking through the clouds. And then I want a person climbing the mountain. I mean, if you go around and start searching for these, you might not get these as easily. Why? I mean, as easily that you can get with any AI software. Then I want to convert this text speech to text to speech because I want a voiceover in my reel. And then I want to stitch everything together. So MoviePy is another library that's available in Python which helps you do that. I will go down. So this is the point where I'm combining that audio clip which I just generated from my text. I'm taking together all of my images. I'm going to add a text on top of those images, whatever I generated, and going to have my final video generated. I hope that was done. Let me try and play it for you. Now, this might be, a little very rudimentary, but you start somewhere and you take it and turn it to more advanced. You can change the voiceovers, you can change the transition timestamp. I mean, the possibilities are endless. And creating reels through AI, this is something which nobody had imagined you could do, without much intervention. You can just tell what you want to do, what your goal is. I have another cool example for you. So you can go to this particular link and you can try it out yourself. You can enter a text of a story, what story you want your visuals for, and then you can choose what kind of images you want. It want you to be watercolor based, do you want it to be a comic book based, and you can generate your own images. Now let me show you quickly how it looks like. So I have something around there was a boy who was watching over the sheeps. Something happened. The boy saw a real wolf sneaking and saved the sheep. Bunch of those things. I want this to be kawaii, and I want to generate the illustrations. It'll take some time, But in the meantime, I want to show you how I was able to do that. It's nothing fancy. These are another version of that, but in the watercolor format. What we saw there was the comic format. Now, I haven't done nothing fancy. I am again using ChatGPT and SegMind. ChatGPT is what is helping me write the story. So I'm telling this, you are an expert author who can read children's stories and create short briefs for an illustrator. Now, I go and tell that, using this story, that you want to generate short briefs so that somebody can illustrate the story for you. Now you can either use like stories available online, or you can also use chat gpt to write your own stories. So I have taken this as the prompt. Now this has generated three briefs from the list. So first is an illustration of the boat shepherd boy singing out, and there are like multiple other illustrations that possible. And then I've again loaded my segmind api, and then I asked it to generate it in the watercolor format. And that's how simple it was to do it, and get such realistic images out without having to have someone or depend on someone to do it for you. You can also see that I designed it in the kawaii style, so you can also see the difference in how the character looks like. Now that's just tip of the iceberg. The way we are heading towards different possibilities. It's the what you can do. You don't even know probably what are the different applications that are possible. And a very simple question people ask is, I'm writing a blog. I want some images, but I don't want to get any copyright claims. So want to generate images? Use Segmind or use any other open source software. Could be Mid Journey, could be Dolly, Dolly 2. Another interesting application that I stumbled upon a few days ago was Clap.app. I had a YouTube video and I wanted to generate some YouTube shorts out of it. So I just gave it to Clap.app and it gave me six different reels with a virality score of how likely they are to get viral. And I mean, I was blown away by the output that I got. And then I looked at its score. It was using a lot of these generative models to understand the text of each of these videos and predict what kind of content these videos has. And it's not too late. A lot of people might be thinking that AI has advanced so much and we've just started. Before AI, we were here. Now you are here. This is the time to grow. Not only grow yourself, but grow your skills. With AI, I say it's easier than ever to learn also anything new. You do not understand a topic, use an AI engine to simplify it for you. Or if you want to explain it to someone, you can create a video around it with AI. So any problem that you have, see how AI fits in. And I've come to the towards the end of the presentation. The bottom line is, how can you make your AI driven digital transformation a reality? Because this is the question we all get stuck at. Most companies, or people rather, they don't know they need AI, but have not found the answer. They know they need AI for some problem, but haven't found an answer. Where do I start? Which model to use, where to get the data. So the first thing, you should take a step back, be very clear on the why. Understand, why do you even want to use AI? It should always be used to support your business strategy and never be your business strategy. That is where the whole hype circle and the entire concept of AI being the next superpower has come in. The second thing, which people often miss, is getting alignment from your stakeholders. This can be your consumers, this can be at an enterprise level, could be anybody, right? So you need to structure your discussions around four important things. One is your business, one is finance, I mean, how you're going to make money, one is technology, could be how you want to implement it, and science. Now, these are the four pillars that will, govern any product that you build, and then weigh in on your AI project decisions of where in this whole process AI is going to make an impact. So it's much more easier to understand how it's making an impact and whether or not you should actually use it. Then the third thing is explore what is possible with AI and then get started. A lot of the times you have this eureka moment and you found the next big idea in life. But when you do a reality check, sometimes it's not feasible to implement it. So, first do a check of what are the different ways in which you can go about implementing it, and then start up from ground and start implementing it. Because technology is not always the objective, it is always the enabler. It could be any idea, it is always going to enable you to implement it. Because, I say this to everyone, the true value in things will always come from using new technology to reimagine your existing process rather than finding new problems to solve with AI all the time. Why not, look at the problems from the lens of AI and how you can better solve them. And these are my last words as we've come towards the end. Do not be intimidated by AI at all. As long as we are able to embrace it, and we are able to see it as an assistant and not as an adversary, we can learn it, and the possibilities are endless. Thank you so much for being a patient audience. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at my email. You can also reach out to me on Twitter or LinkedIn. You can find me at Laisha Wadhwa on all my socials. And thank you so much.
This was an amazing talk, and we all learned so much. You shared so many amazing, great tools as well, which I'll definitely be having a look at and diving deeper into. But I learned so much. Thank you. Everyone,
Thank you.
please feel free to ask questions you have for Laisha in the chat. But we do have one that came in
Mhm.
from Babita, and Babita asked, do you see any new regulations coming because of this increase in AI tools? Do you think these regulations on things like plagiarism could affect the ability of these tools?
I think that's a really good question. What has happened? Like, we were at a point where we had computing power, we had a lot of data, so we could also generate a lot of data out in the world, and we don't know the source of that data, whether it's plagiarized, whether it's written by AI, or whether was it your own creation. So right now, if you ask me, in the Indian landscape, there isn't much regulation around the data or images that are generated by these engines. But most of the AI engines that you see, they are copyright free images, because these are created by, because the prompt that you're giving to it is proprietarily yours. However, if you look at the search engines that are out there, they do penalize or de-rank the articles that have been written by AI or a bunch of other AI based engines because of the style in which they've been written. It's sometimes very easy to differentiate between AI written text versus human written text because of the number of data samples big data collectors like Google, Facebook, Amazon have been able to collect. And I wouldn't say regulation wise we've seen such a major leap, but we have seen other engines slowly penalizing these AI based articles, at least from a text point of view. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it did. Thank you so much, Laisha. Um, and then Sarah also asked, you mentioned people who are scared about losing their jobs to
Mhm,
AI. Can you speak
mhm.
more about how jobs will change in your opinion, especially for designers?
Yep. I think a lot of people are, scared that since these engines have come in, it's rather difficult for me to sustain my job. I feel, when you, let me take an example of a designer. If you're someone who was able to just design things before, now you are someone who can also make your designs responsive. You do not need to learn animation to make your designs responsive. You can add a bunch of other skill sets into your profile just with the help of AI tools. And that's something I also suggest a lot of people to do is, try to learn about different technologies which can help you upskill with your existing skill set. Being a designer, you can also become a front end coder just with basic CSS, and you can use a lot of these engines like Blackbox AI and ChatGPT to help you with that. So if it has impacted your job by 1%, it has also given a 10% scope for you to learn a lot of different skill set, which might have taken you maybe a year to learn. Now you could do it in maybe 6 months.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you, Laisha. And we have another question, last question here from Anne. Our industry is seeing a lot of change with AI, but also a fair amount of risk since we've broken the Turing test, misinformation and encoded bias. Deepfakes of celebrities and Amazon is getting overwhelmed with low quality ebooks. How can we navigate this new power responsibly?
I think that's a really good question, and I mean, when I am looking at different applications where we use AI, the first question that used to come into our mind is this AI responsible, right? Is it really working the way I want it to work? That's the first question. Now we've been able to solve for that. There are a lot of libraries that help you actually evaluate if your AI is responsible enough. Lime is one such library, SHAP is one such library, but that's a more technical and mathematical point of view. While it will take us time to get to a point, but what immediately people will have, or I would say rather start doing, is have improved quality checks. Up until now we were almost looking at different kinds of metrics to evaluate, say, ebooks, or even evaluate content pieces that are put out in the market. But what we will have to eventually move towards is a point where we can differentiate between machine versus human. You don't have to be completely writing from scratch. You can take help from the machine, but at least have the ideas written in your own style. That's what the differentiating factor is.
Thank you so much. So yeah, thank you everyone for sharing your amazing questions. I want to give a big thank you to
Thank
Lesha
you.
for your time today and your amazing talk. It was so good. And yeah, I want to thank everyone so much for joining this session and being a spectacular audience.